Okay, Wednesday, November 1st, 2023, and I'm gonna go the other way now on the boardwalk, maybe for 20-30 minutes. I changed the settings here to 2.7K 50 frames per second to see if I can get the file sizes down. It was quite interesting yesterday when I tried to upload the video. I'm using the Clipchamp, and it was super slow. And then when I bought the subscription, you know, the $11-12 a month, suddenly it started uploading fast to the video editor. But still, it takes a long time to get these videos up on YouTube at 4K. And anyway, YouTube, I think, is set for high definition 1080. But we'll just keep stepping down and see the quality, if there's any loss of quality. Supposedly this is still at TV quality right now, what I got. But all right, let me flip the camera around and we'll just walk and talk. Yeah, so here we are. This is the sunrise. I started a little bit later today, and you can see the weather compared to yesterday has improved a lot. So yeah, when it's summer here, this is a really great beach. There's volleyball tournaments. There's just a lot of room on this beach to do stuff. It's not like Daytona Beach in Florida where, you know, people drive their cars and, you know, cigarette butts everywhere. It's actually, they keep this beach pretty clean, you know, compared to like the Florida beaches. But maybe things have changed in Florida. When I went down there to Daytona, I don't know, this was almost 30 years ago. Yeah, it was all cars everywhere, driving on the, I mean, are people so lazy? Oh, here's our homeless guy, you know, who had good taste in music the other night when I came back. You know, he was playing the music and the YouTube said I had a copyright flag, but I guess it didn't have any consequence, but because it wasn't for so long. But I picked up the music he was playing, and the YouTube through the online uploader picked up that I had copyrighted music because he was playing like Lynyrd Skynyrd or something. Who knows? Now I think they're flying the flag at half-mast for the mass shooting in Maine. I think that's what it is, or maybe it's for Veterans Day coming up. You know, that's next week. I'm not sure. There's so much stuff going on. It's hard to keep track of it all. So, yeah, what was I talking about yesterday? I got sidetracked. I went off on the about the Uber drivers. Yeah, I want to talk about the people that are surprisingly supporting Trump. So yeah, 2 days ago, I mean, I was jet lagged and I went on a ramble about like Uber versus the taxi. But now back to this Uber driver I had. She was a black American lady, 57 years old, she told me, drove trucks cross country, you know, truck driver. She has a son who's 31 years old working in IT. So we had a lot to talk about. She was like telling me how he's working all the time and, you know, pays a lot of taxes. And I think, yeah, he has a house out here in Virginia Beach, not close to the ocean, but further west in Virginia Beach. She helped him buy it and stuff like that, get him started, which is cool. You know, that's, you know, I don't know if my kids are working and being productive and everything, I'll definitely help them buy a house. But if they're just partying away and everything, then I'm not going to contribute to that. That's just my view. But she was really a Trump supporter. She really wanted the change, and you know, it's a lot of people in Ukraine I'm talking to on the chat or on LinkedIn and stuff. I'm talking to these people. They say it's a cult. No, it's Democrats are not listening to their base, because she said she was a straight blue voter all her life. It's not like, you know, minorities are just stupid and just vote Democrat because they've been told to. No, it's changing. I had a lot of interesting discussions. My neighbor across the hall from me, he's a black man, male nurse. He used to be in Antifa, and he used to hate America, he said, until he traveled abroad. And then he realized that this is actually the best place to be. He's going for Trump too, you know, professional. So it's not just because somebody's a certain thing, they vote a certain way. Hell no. And I don't know, people in Ukraine, they need to understand that there's stuff going on here in America. I mean, you know, when I was going around here in Virginia Beach, I was at the shopping centers yesterday, everything was booming. Everything looked good. I was at Target, I was at Walmart. The store was actually cleaner than it ever had been. You know, I didn't see all this like people coming in there and doing these robberies, you know, like these mob robberies or whatever they call them, flash mobs. They all go on Twitter and storm the store. We went to some restaurants, went to this place called Azar's. It's like a Arabic Mediterranean restaurant. They had falafel. They had stuff I could eat, you know, like clean food, not with all the additives and all the sauces and all the junk on it that bothers your stomach. You know, so I don't know, what this town, Virginia Beach, is a bit insulated. It's a military town. You know, it's got Navy bases here. There's even, I think, some Army activity, Air Force activity. Then in Norfolk, you have the aircraft carriers. Or no, that's in Newport News. And Norfolk, I think there's the ships and the carriers. So there is a big military economy here. So, I mean, that could be skewing things. And this area is better off. It is better off than most of the country, I would say. But still, there's that frustration and that anger and everything, and it's I don't know. I think what it comes down to is the politicians need to listen to people, and that goes for the Republican side. They didn't like the traditional Republicans, and they see Trump as this person who will break the system and get us a reset, which to me is very dangerous living in Ukraine. See, I got a different perspective because I've been living in Ukraine the whole time, and I see it like this: if Ukraine is lost, then Russia gains that grain supply, gains oil in the Sea of Azov. They can influence Africa. They can influence the Middle East. Africa is full of uranium. We need that for the nuclear revival. We don't have big uranium sources. I think Canada might have something that could be restarted. You know, U.S. had some uranium mines, but I think most of it is now in like South Africa, and I think in Africa, like another country, Gabon or something, has a lot of it, and Russia, of course, has a lot of uranium. So, yeah, we have to. Yeah, that's what's at stake here. It's like, and that's what these people, they're not understanding. I mean, they're right. They want the border closed. They want, you know, an American identity. This neighbor of mine, you know, he didn't even like this word African American. He said, "I'm just an American." He goes, when he went and visited Africa, he didn't like what he saw, you know. He said, you know, I grew up here, I pay my taxes here, I'm just an American. I like to hear that because that's how I feel, you know. I'm just an American. I don't have anything to do with India. I went there a few times. I didn't like what I see. I didn't like how they do things. I thank my parents for, you know, giving me birth here. It's the greatest gift you can give your kid, is giving them, you know, that they can be born American citizens. Now, in the case of my daughter, even though she'll be born in Ukraine, since I'm an American parent, she will be able to get the citizenship from me at birth. So you don't have to be on the soil. As long as one parent is American, you're okay, you're covered. And she'll also be Norwegian too, on that same rule. So she's got two good ones, good start in life. So yeah, he, you know, he said the Democrats hadn't done anything for black people and things like this. And so, you know, there's a lot of things boiling under the hood here. And I don't know, like, how Ukrainians can be oblivious to this. They're just, okay, we need Ukraine support, we need the weapons. And yes, they're winning the battles on the front, but they might lose the whole war because of the political support here. Like I tell people, if Trump gets elected and cuts Ukraine off, and without a treaty, it's going to be a messy situation. We're talking currency collapse. We're talking like army commanders not getting paid and they're full of guns. I mean, because the Russians will probably they don't want to deal with partisan and rebel stuff. They're only going to go like take those eastern parts and then put in a puppet or something, but no one's going to listen to that puppet. And it's going to be, but the partisan groups and the Ukrainian army and what's left of them, they're going to be cut. If they're cut off from America and European alliance falls apart, it's not good. It's really phew. I don't even want to think about it, you know. But I do think about it like every night. It keeps me up at night now, seeing the rise of Trump, and the only way the Democrats are going to beat Trump is not getting him thrown in jail, because, you know, my mom and a bunch of people are telling me that, you know, and they're pretty moderate. They vote sometimes Democrat, sometimes Republican. They're mainly, you know, they don't really look at the issues. They look at like how the candidate presents themselves. You know, that's how a lot of people vote here, is someone who's presentable, you know. So, you know, my mom, if she could vote for anyone, would be Mike Pence or Nikki Haley, kind of like me. You know, on the Democrat side, Senator Mark Warner, if he was running, but he's not running, he's you know, he looks like a gentleman, and that's actually is part of politics, you know, and you have to look the part. But yeah, it's and you know, I've talked to this neighbor before many years ago, and he was very disillusioned and thinking that other countries do things better. But I told him, like in Norway, even if you naturalize like I did, become a Norwegian citizen, I still have people telling me I'm not Norwegian. I consider myself Norwegian because I have a passport, I speak the language, I pay taxes there. But in Europe, they have this genetic qualification thing. It's not written, it's not, but it's just something that's like you can sense. Where here in America, you know, as soon as you swear an oath for citizenship and you get your blue passport, you're an American, and you can't run away from it. You know, that's what you are. But you know, he said it's really important to have this identity, because, you know, after he went to Africa and everything and came back here, he really wants this American identity. And that's something that Trump is offering. And the Democrats, it's a very easy thing. You know, there's no reason to hate on America or, you know, be ashamed of our past and everything. Every country has a dark past. I mean, even Norway, right? If you go back far enough, they had slavery. You know, the Vikings had slaves. All of Europe did. They were people, you know, getting executed. You know, I mean, they were, you know, in France, they were torturing people, and you know, Germany has definitely an interesting past. So I mean, it's you can see the sun. Yeah, we'll turn it around here in a little bit. Next week we'll probably, if you go up far enough, 31st Street, there's a Neptune statue. I have that in another video with a camera, but I want to give it to you on GoPro. So, yeah, so that's a thing that I want. I want, you know, when I say I'm American, I want people to respect that, you know. They don't have to like it, but they got to respect it. You know, America is the greatest country on earth, and this I believe. This is from my heart, but everyone needs to believe this. And if it wasn't for America, we wouldn't have democracy, elections, free expression. You know, all these marginalized people wouldn't even get to speak up. One thing, I was talking to one of the person in a shop or in a store. Oppression is the norm. Someone in the airport. Yeah, I was having a chat with someone in the airport. Oppression and misery and totalitarianism and dictatorship is the norm in the world. America is like the exception. Western European democracy is the exception. Having elections, having rights, you know, being able to have pride parades, you know, airing your grievances without repercussions. That's the exception, not the rule. Most places in the world, you know, if you speak up too much, you disappear. You know, I mean, that was even happening even in Ukraine not too long back. If you were very strong opposition, or, you know, there was like weird stuff going on in East Ukraine, Kiev, Kharkiv, you know, things like this, because there was not much rule of law, or the cops were corrupt. This is normal. What's not normal is a country like America, you know, that, you know, which gave rise to this constitution. I would say like a republic-style democracy, where you have elections, you know, the president steps down after 2 terms. You know, that was I always say George Washington was the greatest president ever, because he was like Zelensky back in the day. Let's say Zelensky after winning, right? After pushing Russia out of Ukraine. Let's say Zelensky does that. He would have that kind, he would have just had like meteoric popularity. And what George Washington did, you know, after the US defeated England, and after his second presidential term, he stepped down and said the institution has to become stronger than any one person. They wanted to make him a king. And and Putin never stepped down. Russia set up a democracy and everything, but and Putin, they had term limits in the Russian constitution, but Putin never went by it. But the greatest thing that ever happened, because no one had ever done that in the world before. There was all kings before, or rulers or ruling families or nobility. But Washington stepped down. And that's what made him the greatest president ever. That's what made America the greatest country ever. It gave this concept to the world, to keep refreshing people in the government and everything. But we've gotten stagnant. We do need the term limits. I mean, that is something I really agree with. We need limits in there so people like me can get elected. But I don't know, Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell and Rand Paul and his father before him. These people were like lifers, making a lifetime career out of politics. And so they're sort of unofficial nobility or something, and they don't really listen to the voters. And that's what the Trump people are mad at. It's nobody's listening, and that's why they're winning people over from the Democrat side. That's why RFK Jr. is dangerous for Democrats, because it's something different. And like I said, RFK Jr. is a case of your enemy's enemy is my friend. I still feel he's going to help the Republicans more than he's going to help the Democrats. He has some libertarian tendencies, but the Trump supporters aren't buying it. But the Democrats, moderate Democrats, are going to buy it, That's what the sports betting odds say. So how to fix this problem? Democrats got to listen to the people. They've got to come to the center on the border and migration. They should be building Trump's wall. And it was actually Bill Clinton's wall, to be honest with you. That was a Democrat idea. That was not something original from Trump. That's what people don't understand. And, this woke stuff, the marginalized people wanting more recognition and everything. I don't know, I have arguments on Reddit all the time. I told them, if you press too hard, you're going to get Trump elected. You got to back off a bit. But, I just get downvoted and, just savaged. They won't have it. They want it all. And it's different than civil rights. This kind of things, you can keep to yourself. And, you don't have, if you're like black or brown like me or Chinese or whatever, I mean, everyone can see that. But, like the other stuff, people, as long as you keep it to yourself, people don't see it. You got to play the game a bit, and slowly by slowly. But they're already in the mainstream. They're, like I said, they're not marginalized. There's a difference between, legally they can do everything. Yes, people don't like it. But people are always uncomfortable with other kinds of people. I mean, there's people who don't like me because I'm Indian. I can't force them to like me. I can't, but legally I have access to everything and I can go find different friends. So you can't mandate people to like you. I mean, and there's plenty of stuff out there to make people aware of Indian culture, even though I'm not really culturally Indian at all. I mean, I do like Indian food. That's about as far as it goes. And I'm playing Indian music for my daughter, while my wife, while she's in the womb, because it has good rhythms for brain development. But that's about as far as it goes. I mean, everything else, this culture has surrounded me and carried me and given me prosperity. And I don't, this European mainstream culture here, which has rules and regulations, laws, fairness, systems, processes, everything so that if you put 20 different people, they all have to go through the same process. It's not like if you're from a high class, you jump the line. Now, that's a bit idealistic. It is getting, well, some of that is being lost. But in general, it works like that here. If you, in general, it works that way in America. So, yeah, that's, yeah. So the woke movement and everything, I think the President Biden can, de-emphasize it a bit, and get to a point where that he can get the votes to win. I don't really, I'm not bothered by his age. As I said, FDR was in a wheelchair and managed some world wars. As long as he's got good advisors, maybe he's got to change his vice president. She scares people. If he gets a more moderate vice president or something, that could help him too. But Yeah, so the border, I mean, the economy is doing great. He could go after the, hedge funds and the private equity owning the houses and break that up to put more housing supply on the market. And that would bring the housing prices down, and that would win him some voters. But you can't really, like I said, the point is you can't fault the Trump supporters, really. It's not a cult. They have some very legitimate grievances. And maybe Ukraine, like I said, Zelensky should be counseling Biden on how to take care of his people, so he can go another 4 years. If not, this is going to be it's going to be a huge economic boom here at the expense of our allies. And it'll be short-lived, though. Maybe we'll go another 20, 30 years and South America will, one by one, fall into Russian, Chinese hands. Already 40% of people in Mexico, I read somewhere, there was a survey, have ill will towards America and have pro-Russian sentiment. This is a place called Ocean Eddies on the Pier. It's I don't know. I think this weekend I'll warm up. I'll actually walk on the sand. I'll actually take a walk on the sand, get closer up here. But there's this pier, and I think on the weekend when the sun is on the other side, I'll go and make a video on the pier here at the Ocean Eddies. So yeah. Well, yeah. So yeah, that's my little rant. I think I've done that one before. But now that I'm here in America, it's really hitting home. Like Trump supporters are not all, uneducated white males. That's farthest from the truth. That is, there's some very, very educated people. Very, like I said, even my cousin, who is a hardcore Democrat, 8 years ago when I was pro-Trump, I couldn't even get him to listen about any ideas, and now he's telling them to me. He is telling them all to me, about how America needs to have a strong identity, how things, there's a lot of, he is more concerned about business regulation. He wants a more free marketplace. So, he wants that border thing fixed, that type of thing. He came over from India and went through the process, went through the whole immigration process. It took him years, and then someone just jumps the fence and gets rewarded for it. The legal immigrants who came here and paying the taxes and stuff, they don't like that. They're the ones who are the most critical of those policies. So I don't know, write your Democrats if you want to see Biden survive. Tell Democrats they've got to moderate a bit. They've got to compromise a little bit. Not much, really. It's not too much to ask to just follow the law, really. Having a border and enforcing the law, that's not too much to ask. Sweden, Norway, Denmark, they all have borders, and they're all very, if you're violating immigration rules in Scandinavia, you're going to get deported. You're going to get in a lot of trouble. I know people, even from first world countries like Japan, that violated those rules, and they got in serious trouble. So, yeah, that's all I got. That's all I got. I'll probably film more in the afternoons because it's like the sunlight thing, just before the sun sets, then it's on the other side and it'll get better light. But anyway, take care, and we'll see you next time.